Hello, my name is Ronnie. I'm from East Germany. My friends usually call me Rocket. And that here, that's Harry. He's from West Germany and he doesn't like to be filmed. Together, we went to Canada in the summer of 2019 to paddle down the Yukon River, 900 kilometers from the Source Lakes via Whitehorse all the way down to Dawson City, very much like the people during the gold rush did. Along the way, we encountered some amazing wildlife, enjoyed the vast space of the Yukon Territory, and got to know some pretty amazing people. And this is the log of our adventure. While Team Saxony was waiting for a spray cover for their canoe, we headed downriver, the last 420 kilometers to Dawson City. Given the rather boozy previous night, we had to resupply beer again. 30 cans of lager had gone missing somehow. In Carmex, where we fixed also the drone and got going. Next stop were the Five Finger Rapids, 40 kilometers after Carmex. Not really that difficult, although Harry did get wet socks in the end. Just stay on the right and you'll be fine. That night we found an amazing campsite downriver, about 10 meters elevated from the river, cooked up a rather large dinner and took the drone for a spin. Amazing views, and we also managed to use our fish grilling equipment, which we acquired for the first time, although we rather used it to grill our pork belly. Yeah, here you can see how a typical camp looks like. Past the axe towards Harry's tent, the red one, the green one on the right is mine. You can see the resupplied beer cans as well. Harry flying around the drone. A really nice little toy to have out there. Back on the river, we had a slow day with maybe a bit too much leaning back, enjoying the wonderful scenery around. We lunched at a small side arm of the river and let the drone fly again. To our surprise, the drone couldn't be charged of USB-C as the shopkeeper had promised us in Whitehorse, and so the solar panel was useless. We needed to find another power source. On our hunt for a power socket, we spotted some cabins on the right-hand side of the river and hiked up to see if anyone was around. Eventually, we encountered a man and his enormous Labrador dog in his huge camper van. He's a student and works for the parks during the summer. He was a bit surprised to have someone knocking on his door right in the middle of nowhere. Anyway, he pointed us to a campsite 5 minutes further down the river, called Minto. Indeed, we could charge everything there, got unlimited hot water showers as well, washed our gear. Amazing stuff. That evening, we spotted the leading canoes of the Yukon River Quest people and the support teams. Amazing how fast they made their journey to this point, but surely we had more fun. A bit on the Yukon River Quest. Every year some 200 paddlers from all over the world come to Whitehorse to participate in one of the toughest races globally, the Yukon River Quest. The race takes paddlers the 715 kilometers from Whitehorse to Dawson with only a few mandatory resting stops.
Das ist total, das verfolgt uns. Kein Scheiß, ja? Und so wollen wir das auf dem Boden machen, weißt du? Und die werben ja hier auch in dem Follow-Me-Mode, dass das funktioniert mit dem Kanu.
Okay.
Ja.
The next morning we paddled towards a historic First Nation village on the left river bank. Fort Selkirk used to be an important trading post but is now abandoned, yet its buildings, including 2 churches, maintained. There were quite a few German traces everywhere, including a German Bible laid out on the altar. We took a walk to a First Nation cemetery about 10 minutes from the boat landing spot, pretty well preserved and in its usual colorful design. We also used the time to talk to some of the voluntary workers helping with the River Quest, as well as some of the pretty exhausted crew members. Some had come from as far as Australia just to do the race, and one woman reported of hallucinations on the river due to exhaustion. That night we camped on a small river island. Not so great camping, but very good and long conversations well into the night or day-night, whatever you call it, that time of the year, before we continued downriver the next day. How time flies. It was already end of June today and the sun was blazing hot. We made camp on the river island and I enjoyed several swims in the river. Down here the water is refreshing and no longer that cold as it was in the upper lakes. While following some bear tracks, we spotted a pike in a side arm of the river in its typical habitat, grassy, shallow water. We tried to catch it, but drew a blank, as the fish didn't want to bite even though we put food almost into his mouth. At night, I struggle to sleep. If it doesn't rain, the sun keeps temperatures in the high 20s until late, and it just never gets dark that time of the year. I mean, we had 30 degrees at 10 p.m. Celsius, that is. Anyway, as I was dozing away, a noise of splashing water got me interested, and as I looked outside the tent, I spotted the moose coming over to our island near where I had swum earlier. I got out for a few pictures and caught the moose standing in the muddy water. After a few looks, it decided to swim on toward the other shore. Amazing swimmers they are, as we already witnessed on one of the lakes before Whitehorse. After a decent day of paddling, passing by an active gold mine at Coffee Creek, we spent the night on a campsite by Kirkman Creek, as we feared onsetting bad weather, an unwise decision with hindsight. No shower, no electricity. You can get some basic meals, burgers, egg breakfast, etc., but buckle up for the steep prices. While I was busy cooking garlic and onion bread, Team Saxony caught up with us. They had put in a long day and opted, as usual, to stay on a campsite. We agreed to meet later in Dawson.
Hey! So, Brot.
Ronny backt unser lecker Brot, dass wir wieder 2 Tage gesichertes Frühstück haben.
Machen wir heute mal was machen wir heute mit? Knoblauch und mit
Zwiebeln.
Zwiebeln. Und es ist leider sehr viel Teig geworden, das heißt, also ich glaube, wir müssen den Teig teilen, ne? Sonst wird das hier wieder so oben drauf wie beim zweiten Brot.
Ja.
Ja,
Schauen
wir werden
Okay.
werden es später nochmal zurück berichten, wie das dann geworden ist. Tendenz braun, weiß, schwarz. Meistens sind wir ja so
Tendenz
Schwarzbrot-Typ
schwarz.
gewesen.
Ja.
Gut.
Okay, bis später.
The last full day on the river ahead of Dawson was pretty enjoyable. We made almost 100 kilometers, 99 kilometers exactly. Spent most of the day listening to audiobooks. In this case, I think it was Winnetou 2, after we finished Jack London in the days before. We also spotted some white sheep on the way, goats, I guess, which we hadn't seen so far. Nice. We had more time to play around with the drone, and once more, a moose stopped by to show off its amazing swimming skills.
Macht an der Insel vorbei.
After a day further down the Yukon, we arrived in Dawson, a day behind the original schedule. It was now the 2nd of July, and we thus missed the Canada Day celebrations on 1st of July. We also missed the German family which we met in the very beginning at Lake Bennett. They had arrived in Dawson a few days earlier and had left the morning of our arrival. Maybe they even waited for us there. We opted to stay at a campsite left on the riverbank, Dawson City River Hostel, in what is called West Dawson. It's a quirky place run by Dieter from Germany and a good place to re-energize. The government-run ferry nearby operates 24 hours and is free of charge. So you can always easily get across into town. Only downside is that you have to carry your gear up the campsite, though Dieter provides little trolleys to make life easier. So we had made it. Lake Bennett to Dawson, and thus followed the same route on the lakes and river as the gold prospectors did back in the days. Now it's time to relax and enjoy the last few days with Harry, who will continue from here by bike. Having enjoyed the first night on our own, Team Saxony joined us for the other 3. We also got up to a bit of sightseeing, namely up the Klondike to see the place where gold was first found, 1896, Bonanza Creek, and saw a dredge and tried our luck ourselves with a bit of a gold washing and got a few flakes ourselves. We ended up spending 4 days in Dawson enjoying the Wild West style old town, gold rush themed museums and the amazing nightlife. Yeah, in one of those Dawson City nights, I had a bit of a change of heart, and instead of continuing down the river to Emmanuck and the Bering Sea, which was the original plan, I diverted to Colombia for a surprise visit to my girlfriend Laura. Yeah, that was it. Great time down the river together with Harry. Great guy, really became good friends on the trip, and looking forward to seeing him again. Thanks for all the patience. And with that little picture gallery, the Yukon video series concludes. If you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. If not, give me a thumbs down, that's completely okay. Do leave comments, ask questions, and please subscribe to the channel. There's a lot more outdoor activity ahead that I'm intending to publish here. So please join me on my journey and see you next time. Bye!